Welcome to the Game of Life podcast, where we bring you inspiring softball stories, insightful tips from coaches and players, and explore how the game transcends its boundaries to become a metaphor for life. Whether you're a sports enthusiast, a casual fan, or someone just looking for inspiration, you're in for a treat. We'll unravel the tales that go beyond the scoreboard. Discover how perseverance and hard work on the field translates into resilience in your daily challenges. Learn about teamwork, leadership, and the unwavering spirit that fuels success, not just in sports, but in the game of life. All right, we are super excited today. We have Sam Demma on. Sam, how are you?
Paul, Allie, doing well. How are you guys?
We're doing great. I want to tell our viewers real quick how this happened. My wife's the queen of sending our family Instagram clips all the time, and besides food, you're populating her Instagram. So she kept sending us. This is a great person for the podcast. You need to have this person on the podcast, which led us to reading your first book, Empty Your Backpack, and then which led me to ordering it for my students, and then the phone call with you, and then we're here today. And it's a wonderful representation of how small the world really is.
It is. And if I'm competing with food and sometimes coming out on top, I feel really honored.
Now, that's fabulous. Sam, I know you're an author, a speaker, an educator, and your mission's basically just to help young individuals live their best lives. Tell us about how it all got started, and then we'll have a discussion for about 40 minutes and see where this takes us.
I wanted to play professional soccer growing up. At 5 years old, that was my biggest dream in life. By the time I was 13, I was fortunate to get an opportunity to move to Italy to play with a professional club for 6 months. My parents were very nervous to let me go. You can probably relate to that feeling when your own kids travel for sports or athletics or opportunities. I remember my dad being so excited for me and my mom just bawling her eyes out. And after enough conversation and convincing, they finally let me leave. And I lived in Italy for 6 months, didn't sign a professional contract, ate a little bit too much food. But when I traveled back home, I was so inspired by the high level the athletes were playing at that I wanted to do more and be more and become a better soccer player. So I got on a better team. I started training after school, before school, dedicated my entire existence to athletics and academics. That's all I cared about. If it wasn't going to move me closer to the goal and dream, I didn't do it. And those sacrifices turned into stepping stones, and those stepping stones turned into progress. And by the time I was in my senior year of high school, I was playing on one of the most competitive teams in the country, had some really great scholarship opportunities starting to show up. One of the bigger ones was with the University of Memphis. And over the next 2.5 years, I ended up having 3 major knee injuries, 2 surgeries, lost the scholarship opportunity, went down a really challenging path with my mental health, and ultimately decided at the end of it to start thinking about the game as the game of life, not just the game of Sam being a soccer player, and stop playing and try to figure out who I was outside of the athlete who kicked the ball. And yeah, that's like kind of like the first big chunk of my story that brought me to where I am now. I then met an educator who like dramatically changed my direction. I fell into speaking as a result of trying to recruit people to get involved in a volunteer organization we started where we were picking up garbage. And today, like, fell in love with storytelling and moving people emotionally as a result. And yeah, I'm going to stop rambling now, but that's kind of it in a nutshell.
And I'll say one thing, because I know my daughter's ready to roll with a question. Viewers should get your book, Empty Your Backpack, because I think it's phenomenal, not just for young people, but for any age person. And it'll make sense with some of the clips where you have the big backpack on and you're doing your thing. And it tells a lot more of your story. When you were just saying that, now I'm filling in all these blanks from the book. But it'd be a great opportunity to learn more about Sam. Go ahead, Allie.
Yeah, no, I was actually just going to say that I recently had the opportunity to dive into your book, Sam. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about that really resonated with me, and I'm thinking a lot of viewers, is you said something along the lines of who you become in pursuit of your dream is more important than any milestone that you actually achieve. Could you maybe dive into that with us a little bit? Because I think a lot of the athletes we work with, sometimes it's, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll do anything to reach my goal. But sometimes you might lose sight of the person in that too.
Yeah, it's like the greatest project we ever work on is ourselves. Like you are the project. Whether you stop playing soccer or stop playing a sport, you will carry you with you wherever you go for the rest of your life. And when we look at our effort and our hard work from that perspective, it can never be a waste. Even if you strive to play professionally and you don't end up playing professionally, the only way you took a really good shot at that goal was by being disciplined, by being dedicated, by working well with a team, by improving your communication, by learning things, by studying hard at school. All of that stuff becomes a part of your character and personality, and you carry it forward. And for a long time after I stopped playing sports, I felt like my hard work was a waste of time because my teammates had these scholarships to show for it. Many of them went on to play professionally, and a few of them are on the national team. And if you watch the World Cup, they made history this year. And I felt like I didn't have anything physical to show for it. But the reason I'm able to be successful today in a totally different path and career, I believe, is because the whole time I was training as an athlete, I was building me. And so is everybody else. Jim Rohn's the person who said it. The goal, the value of a goal is not reaching it. It's the person we become in the process. Because, you set a goal to make $100, you have to do a specific thing to make $100. But if you set a goal to make $1 million, like you got to become an entirely different person to provide the world with that much value. You got to learn a lot more. You gotta up level your skills in massive ways. Like you have to change who you are. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of what that means when I wrote about it in the book. And I hope that gives some greater context to everyone who's listening.
It's so great because one thing I deal with students and athletes is their whole identity is about what they're trying to accomplish instead of the value they're learning from the process.
Yeah.
And it's great to hear you say that because people can go to some bad places when they focus on the wrong thing.
Oh, it's so true. And what we choose to look at determines how we feel. Tony Robbins always says, your life isn't your life. Your life is the life you focus on. And that's why the backpack is so important, right? The backpack is a metaphor for our thoughts and the beliefs that we carry around. Think of it this way. You live on a street and there's a row of houses and it starts pouring rain on this street. Like you could be sitting outside, you could be sitting inside, staring out the window with a big frown on your face, upset that it's raining. And your neighbor could be outside with a raincoat on and these bright yellow boots jumping through the puddles, having the time of their life. And it's raining on both people. But your neighbor just chose to tell themselves a story. That means it's time to go outside and have fun. And you told yourself this story that when it rains, it means it's a bad day. The reality is the same for both of them. The story's different. Like what we focus on makes all the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, on that note, I kind of want to get into who you surround yourself with because in your analogy, right, if you're one of those people sitting in the house like, oh, it's raining and you have 5 people kind of enabling that thought process, you're probably going to start having more thoughts like that. So I'm just curious, in your perspective, like, were there certain people in your life you feel like have helped you, get to this dream of being a speaker and maybe even going forward and achieving more of your dreams?
100%. Like, one of the greatest things you could do on the path to whatever success looks like for you is find people that have already gotten there, who have that infectious positive attitude, and ask them the correct steps to take. It takes one person to shut down a dream you have, tell you all the reasons why it's not going to work. But it also just takes one person who's already done it to give you the most delusional belief that it's possible for you. And, I think about the people in my life who've made the greatest impact. Like, I have friends who believe in me more than I believe in myself. I had mentors who shortened the learning curve. It would have taken me like 10 years to learn the stuff they taught me in 1 or 2 or 3. You either pay for the lessons in time, meaning you try and figure it out yourself, or you pay with money and learn a little bit quicker. You're going to pay for those lessons anyways. And so, finding the right mentors and friends is critical. I can't stress it enough. I think back to when I was an athlete, my coach would always yell at me because I was a midfielder, and he'd say, "Hey, Sam, check your shoulders," because you want to check if there's someone behind you going to take the ball from you on the field. And so we're constantly looking around us, and it should be the same way in life. Like, are the people around you helping you get closer to the person you want to be, or are they making it more difficult to become that person? And if by default they're making it more difficult, you might just be around the wrong people.
It's a great
That's
point.
amazing. I have an analogy. You talk a lot about perspective in your book too. And when I'm on a walk every day, there's this dog that comes running at me on the walk every
Yeah.
morning, and then it just stops. Thinks it's the king of the whole yard in the neighborhood, right? But the reason it stops is because that invisible fence is right there, and it doesn't realize if it would break through that pain for a couple seconds, right? It would have the whole world. And sometimes I feel like we as people are the same way. We think we have this great life and great world. We don't realize if we keep exploring and growing and going through some pain, there's things we can't even imagine are out there.
I couldn't agree more. I think you can look at it from the perspective of a gym. Like, you have to tear your muscles for them to grow. The only way to improve at something is to make a mistake, learn from it, and then do better the next time. It's like all growth and improvement requires us to have moments of discomfort. And sometimes the moments of discomfort are difficult conversations with the people you love, you know? And that might look like changing the folks you hang around. That might look like no longer doing things that you did in the past. And it can be lonely for a period of time. Like, there's a lot of entrepreneurs and successful people who say, you know, when I decided where I wanted to go, the most sad part about it is that I realized there were certain people I couldn't take with me. It's just a part of it. But the beautiful thing is that as you go down this journey up a new mountain, you're going to find new people that share the same beliefs and ideas, that are living life full out, and you're going to build some of the deepest friendships you've ever made in your entire life.
And you have to be willing to leave others, right?
Yeah, like there's challenges. And one of the things I always think about is the sunken ship fallacy. Like, you might be on a boat, and maybe you've had this boat for 10 years and you feel so attached to this boat, but this boat is sinking, and people will be like, I can't jump off the boat because it's my boat. And it's like, you're about to drown if you don't get off the boat, you know? You could take that same idea and just like apply it to a relationship, apply it to a business partnership, apply it to a certain team you're on, apply it to a group of friends. Well, I've known these people for 10 years. But yeah, and they've held you back, all 10 of them. Do you still want to stay there? Like, it's a difficult choice for people to make. So you will have to let some people go. And I would highly recommend making sure you do it with love and empathy. Like, telling someone you're bad for my goals and dreams and you're holding me back is probably not a good idea. But making yourself a little more busy when they reach out and ask to do things, filling up your calendar with other priorities, is something that's respectful, and it's okay. You know, you're allowed to choose how you use your time.
Yeah, I love that. And I think going off of, this people and perspective theme we have going on, one of the things I've seen on a lot of your social media clips and even in your book that you talk about is assuming positive intent. And that is something that my family, it's really resonated with us. And I think it's just the idea, right, that we don't know what people are going through. So even if they offend us in some way or do something that's, inconvenient for us, we don't know what was going on for them. So I think it's, a kind of a double-edged sword of assume people are doing good things, but also it just allows you to have this freedom in your mind of, okay, I'm not holding on to all this anger because I'm giving people grace with the things that they're doing every day. So I would love to hear you talk more about that and kind of just explain in your words to all the listeners what that truly means.
One of the challenges with publishing your ideas a lot is that people will build a perception of you as a human and then take your ideas and believe that 100% of the time, this is how you live. And I'll be the first person to tell you that one of my biggest hesitations to putting these ideas online is that people build that perception. And there's times where I also make the mistake of not giving people the grace or assuming positive intent. And the reason I think that's so important to share is because we're all human beings. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to do things that we know are probably not the best things for us to do. And it's okay. Like, please give yourself some grace. I'll give you a perfect example of how this played out recently. I have been dealing with some health stuff, and there's a naturopathic doctor named Jason who always fixes me up every time. And I called him 2 weeks ago, and he's like, Sam, I'm going to be in Pickering next week. I'll see you. Like, we'll do treatment. And I was like, perfect, because things have been really challenging. Well, Sunday rolls around. He told me he's going to text me. He doesn't text me. Monday, nothing. Tuesday, nothing. Now I'm starting to worry because I'm not getting a good sleep at night. I need to fix this issue that's going on. I text him Tuesday, nothing. I text him again Friday, nothing. I text him on Sunday. I'm like, man, have I upset you? Like, I really hope I didn't do something that rubbed you the wrong way. Like, you can tell me you're not going to hurt my feelings. He just responded today, Tuesday, about a week and a half after he told me he would, and let me know that his brother-in-law has suddenly passed away. And he's been dealing with all these arrangements, and he's been off of his phone, and he has space tomorrow if I'm still in town. And right away, I was like, there's God again trying to remind me, take my own advice, you know? And really what the advice is to tell yourself a story, if you don't have all the details, that positively impacts the way you feel and gives the other person grace, right? If somebody cuts you off in traffic, instead of telling yourself they're doing it on purpose, tell yourself they have to go poo. That's like, it's a silly idea, but it's like that story helps you laugh and maintain a positive attitude because you don't actually know the truth. You don't have the details. So in the moments where you don't have the details, you extend grace and you tell yourself a better story. That's what it means to assume positive intent. What I would add to this, though, that I don't talk about online is that you do this, but you also don't be naive. If somebody walks all over you or does something really disrespectful, you don't tell yourself a story, oh, they're doing it because they have my best interests at heart, or, you know, it's okay because they have a lot going on. If somebody disrespects you, you remove yourself from the situation. But in scenarios where you don't have all the details and the only thing that impacts how you feel is a story you tell yourself, choose a better story. Assume positively.
It's wonderful. As an educator, it's easy when a kid shows up late to class or doesn't have their homework done, to assume that we take it personally. And I've always prided myself on giving grace and the benefit of the doubt until it's proven otherwise.
Yeah.
And that leads me into this next question. What do you think are things people carry around that they don't even realize are holding them back, that are filling up their backpack? They don't even realize it.
The fear of other people's perception of what people are going to think, what they're going to say about them, if they choose to step into the light or show up and do the thing they want to do. I think that's one of the biggest ones. I have so many people in my life who have dreams and goals, and the fear they always talk about, or the thing that holds them back, is, well, I'm afraid of people seeing me. I'm afraid of what people are going to say or what they're going to think. I think one of the other things people carry around and might not even realize they're carrying around is, like, they don't believe it's possible. And they might not even verbalize this or be able to say it, but some part of them doesn't actually believe they can do the thing they want to do. And so they just don't start in the first place as a result of their own disbelief. And most of the time, it comes from a family member or a friend or someone they really love who tried to do the thing and failed. Or it's a conversation they had with a teacher, and, you know, they shared something with them and they kind of carry that in their backpack. It could be a conversation with anybody. And so, yeah, I would say the fear of other people's perceptions and then also carrying around their own disbelief would be the two things that I think hold people back the most.
Isn't it funny? Because another human being can think and really say anything about me that they want.
Yeah.
But I don't have to believe it or listen to it. But we spend so much time listening to it and believing it.
Yeah.
It's terrible. So that's the big number one right there. And you talked earlier about mentorship. That's why it's important to hang out with people that had a successful restaurant, not the person that had a failed restaurant, right?
Someone read the book. You read Empty Your Backpack. Let's go. Well, that's the frame that I always go back to, is to remind people, hey, everyone's entitled to an opinion, but you have to understand everyone's opinions come from their experiences. So, you know, keep that in mind. When someone's telling you you can't do something, it's most likely because someone in their life or themselves tried it and they didn't do it. But just because someone else didn't do it doesn't mean you can't. Like, go find somebody who did it and ask them if it's possible. They're going to tell you an entirely different story and change all the advice. So that really should help give you some peace of mind that everyone's criticism and perception of you has nothing to do with you and more to do with themselves. They're just projecting their past on you in the form of some opinions and words.
Yeah, and Sam, actually, on that note, one thing I wanted to talk to you about is you mentioned the fear of other people's perception holding you back is always so interesting to me because I think it's human nature. We all spend a lot of time thinking about ourselves, but then in these scenarios we play out, we're worried about what other people think, but in reality, they're probably thinking about themselves. So I'm just curious your thoughts on that whole dynamic because it really just it's fascinating to me.
Yeah, Ali, like what video did I post 7 days ago at 6:30 p.m.?
Yeah, great question.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have no idea. I don't even think I could answer
Yeah.
it. I'd have to go look. I'd have to go look back. But people will obsess in that moment. Oh, should I publish this one? Like, are people
Mhm.
gonna like this one? They're not even gonna remember that one. Like, just put it in the world and let it touch the people it's supposed to reach. Um, I 100% wholeheartedly agree with what you just shared. People are so busy with their own priorities, their own goals, their own dreams, their own relationships. We're all living in our own individual bubbles of reality that they're not as focused on you as they think they are. And even if they are, and they're negative, it's because of their own challenges in past and has nothing to do with you. So move forward with faith anyway. Um, they're not thinking about you. Let that give you some peace of mind and some uh, excitement in your heart.
Yeah. I think that's important in athletics and in life. I think I see it a lot in athletics, when kids are deciding where should I go to college? What are other people going to think? And this is something my dad and I have talked about a lot, but let's say you pick a college to go to, 3 to 4 people from your high school might ever check in on you, but you're the one that's living it every day. So why do you listen to, the other opinions people have? And I'm not trying to downplay it because I do understand at the time it's a big decision, but it's just perspective shifts like that are always interesting to me.
Yeah, and so many of our relationships are based on proximity, right? Like one of the best litmus tests of a true friendship is if you move away, do you stay in touch? Have you continued those relationships and conversations? And if you haven't, it's like maybe they were there for a reason or a period of time. Maybe they're not someone you're going to be connected to for the rest of your life. So I always think about that as well. And my mentor Dan Martell says if they're not paying your bills, don't worry about their perspectives. Like that's a really harsh way to think about it. My philosophy is like listen closely to what everyone has to say, but then make your own decision. It's beneficial to listen and hear people's perspectives and opinions, but be very critical about what you choose to believe and carry forward yourself.
That's a great point because there's people older than you, more successful than you, that have had more ups and downs, maybe. And so it's important to hear it. There
Yeah.
might be some nuggets in there, right? But at the end of the day, it's your choice.
I even like to say sometimes there'll be people that are younger than you that have an opinion that might be helpful, but our own perception of youth can even get in the way. Like I've had scenarios where I've had people message me online and be like, who do you think you are? Like, what allows you to write a book? You haven't even lived life yet. You don't have your own house. You haven't gotten married. Like, you think you can provide the world valuable advice? Like, you're a joke. And I'm like, whoa. I'm just reflecting on my personal experiences and sharing them in the service of others. If it benefits somebody, awesome. If it doesn't, that's okay too. And so the other thing is like, Sadhguru is this like spiritual teacher, and I've watched some videos of him online, and he talks about age, and he goes, "Think about it. The only advantage adults have over children is they arrived here earlier." He's like, and someone can arrive earlier than you and have all this time pass and do nothing with it, and someone else can arrive, 10 years later and be very present in their day-to-day life and come up with all these little reflections and lessons and share them with others. And so just because time passes doesn't mean it's invested well. So I would just put that out there as well. Like we get in our own way because we believe we have the answers or the ideas. And if you keep an open mind, like you sometimes learn from the most unlikely of sources.
Yeah. I
What?
think too, when you look
Well,
at, folks who are further along in their life or older, they usually are one of two ways. Like I kind of classify them as lifelong learners or they feel like they've already got it all figured out. So you see
Yeah.
someone at that time in their life and I pray and I hope that the people in my life make sure I'm a lifelong learner at that point. But I
Ah,
think it's just interesting when you start to see that too.
so true.
let's talk about failure. I feel it's well, my favorite acronyms. It's first attempt in learning under real world experience.
Mm,
I start off some speeches sometimes. I was supposed to be a pro golfer, and here I am. So, I mean, you saw how that ended up. And if I remember right from the book, you actually went to university for a little bit, right?
Yeah, I went to University of Toronto.
Still wanting to play soccer.
I, at that point, still had the dream in me and was transitioning. Like I started picking up the trash and was thinking about speaking, but my heart was still with athletics.
And how hard was that? Did you feel like a failure at the time, looking back?
A complete failure. I unfollowed all of my teammates on social media because seeing soccer was difficult for me. It had nothing to do with them. It would bring up all these feelings of not enoughness anytime I would see the sport. I felt like I had nothing to show for the 12 years of effort that I put toward this sport. My whole family like defined me as the kid they were going to watch on TV and would come to my games and celebrate all the milestones, and there'd be going away parties when I'm traveling to Italy and all this kind of stuff. So I didn't see Sam as a separate human outside of athletics. It was like, Sam is a soccer player. This is who I am. It's what I do. It's what I breathe and eat and sleep. And the moment that was stripped away, it felt like I had nothing valuable left. I felt like a failure for sure.
Who helped Sam through that?
My family. You know, one of the first things my parents told me is like, we're going to be proud of you no matter what happens and what you choose to do. And like, that was one of the greatest gifts my parents ever gave me, like their belief and support. My relationship with my faith, for sure, that things are happening because there's a plan in store that I don't currently understand, but to believe that, it's difficult too, especially when you don't understand any of it. But like looking back now, I can tell you with certainty, I was never supposed to be a soccer player. I took a long time to realize that. Like that was all preparation to make me who I am today and impact millions, hundreds of thousands of people. Like we reach millions of people every month now. And they're not with like sport highlights. They're with ideas that are helping parents be more present with their kids and keep their cool when they're in the car and respond with empathy when they get a negative email, or say hello to a stranger who's not actually a stranger. It's a human being you just haven't met yet, and use people's names and lead with compliments. And like, I'm getting goosebumps. Like, I would never have done this stuff if I was an athlete, you know? Like, I'd be focused on winning the next game, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you can use your platform to do, you know, whatever you choose to do, no matter if you're in sports or not. But like, it's bringing me a lot of joy and fulfillment, and I feel like I'm contributing in the way I was, you know, made to use my gifts to contribute.
That's awesome. And it's awesome to hear, like, you can even hear the passion in your voice now when you're talking about it, which is awesome to hear. And I think to your point too, before when you said, you know, when you didn't become a soccer player, it's like, was all that a waste of time? But I'm sure you use the work ethic, the discipline, the teamwork, like you use all those skills that you developed through soccer in what you're doing now, I would assume.
Yeah, all of it. Like, there's a podcast I was just on. The title is Transferable Everything. This idea that like everything is transferable. And I loved it. I'm like, that describes my life as an athlete entirely. The discipline, the dedication, the teamwork, the constant desire to improve, the self-evaluation. Like all of these things can be used in every area of life to find meaningful success in relationships.
When sports are done right, it's the best preparation, in my opinion, for everything else you do. And I know you talk a lot about small, consistent actions as well. And if you could think of one small action that would change the trajectory of someone's life, is there one you could come up with, or does it take a bunch of small actions?
I would say the best place to start is with one. And I mean, people could answer this question 100 different ways. I think there are way more than one important habit, but I would say like learning, the idea of being a lifelong learner and consistently searching for answers and building and learning new skills. Like, I would say that's probably one of the cornerstone, most important small actions someone can take. And that looks like dedicating some time each day to reading or listening to podcasts. That looks like reflecting on your own lived experiences, which means you might keep a journal and like learn from your own experiences, not just reading about the ones that are listed in other people's books, that looks like finding a coach and a mentor, someone who's already done it and learning from them. I'll say, yeah, I think up there as one of the most important things to do is to continuously learn.
And the best thing about Audible and podcasts, like I feel like we've talked for 20 hours because of all this stuff. and it, but that, imagine repeating that in life with you and X person, and then people in person, obviously. Mentors love helping other people that show the effort and the willingness to learn. And that's fantastic. Just be a lifelong learner.
Big time. I take the words right out of Ali's mouth.
No, I love it. And I think it's just the idea you're always one connection away from some big change in your life. So, Sam, I'm curious from you, like, as you've started speaking, just, I'm sure you've met so many people. Like, what has that experience been like, just to network with all of these new people that you're talking to?
The magic is in the moment you meet them. If your head is thinking about the opportunity on the other side or the big breakthrough, you're missing the magic, which is the fact that there's another like living, breathing human being in front of you that has stories to tell and things to share. And so for me, it's like, that's the point. The point is meeting the people and hearing their stories and learning. I can think of so many examples of moments after speeches where I've talked to people and it's changed my perspective, or it's popped an insight in my head that I didn't even know I had, and I share it with them, and I'm like, wow, that was a good one. Like, I'm gonna write that down. I'm thinking about a middle school student from Emmett, Idaho. I was recently speaking to kickstart the school year for all the staff and students, and the speech finishes. Young guy, Jacob, walks up and he goes, "Mr. Sam, I just have to say, you're really cool. You know that?" And I was like, "Thanks, Jacob. I appreciate that, man." And he pulled out his phone. He goes, "Can I take a picture?" And I said, "Yeah, we can take a picture. But before we do that, I have to say, my mentor shared this with me. I need you to know this. You can't recognize something in somebody else unless you first recognize it in yourself. You wouldn't be able to see coolness in me if you didn't believe some part of you was pretty cool. And so I just want to say you're a pretty cool kid too. And keep seeing the good stuff in people." And he started laughing, and he was a middle school student. So I'm not sure if he like fully understood the lesson that I was trying to share with him in that moment, but like maybe 5 years from now, I'll think back to that moment and be like, oh, wow. Like the world isn't as it is. It's as we are. It's a reflection of our inside. And if we change us, the world changes, And he taught me that lesson. Like I wasn't thinking about that until we started talking. And I can think of like hundreds of interactions just like that one that really touched my heart.
That blows my mind. And that leads me to the next. I think I know where this may go, but let's talk about your upcoming book, Return on Goodwill.
Yeah. The premise of the book is that when we do good, expecting nothing in return, ironically, life unfolds in beautiful ways. And the return is not the point. The point is believing that this philosophy is a great way to live life. And if something happens or doesn't happen, doesn't dictate how you should show up or if you should choose to show up this way. I've learned in my own experiences that treating people well, seeing their dignity, leading with empathy and compassion, using people's names, like there's 8 daily practices that I share in the book. When I choose to live that way, I find a lot more meaning and fulfillment. And every once in a while, life surprises you and something beautiful will happen. For example, I was on a plane one time and there was a flight attendant who noticed a gentleman staring at his phone watching a TV show, and he pulled up a paper coffee cup. Maybe you've seen this story online, and he turns it into a phone stand. And I've never seen a flight attendant use a paper cup that they're serving refreshments in to create a phone stand for someone. And, I got so excited, I jumped up. I was like, "Sir, did United Airlines train you to do this?" And he was like, "No." And I was like, "Okay, why do you do it then?" And he's like, "Well, it makes me feel really good when I can help people." And I was like, that's a good reason to do something, And also, can I talk about this on stage? Like, do you mind if I share this story online? And he was like, "Who the heck are you?" And a few weeks later, I told the story in Idaho. And if you search paper cup phone stand flight attendant or flight attendant phone stand, like you'll find Josh, because the first video we posted went viral. It got like 2.4 million views. And the coolest part of the story is United Airlines recognized him. But even greater than that, the same time I posted the video, his own mom was going into a surgery. And the comments were flooded with people, strangers, sending prayers and thoughts and all this beautiful stuff. And I am certain Josh didn't make paper cup phone stands for people that needed a phone stand on his planes because he was like, well, one day a young guy is going to sit in my plane who's also a speaker and writer, and he's going to talk about me on stage. Like, he just chose to believe that it's a part of what it means to be a human, to serve and give, and lived his life from that philosophy. Feels better every day because of it. And every once in a while, something special might happen, which is a pretty cool surprise.
Yes. Create value and you'll get something in return, some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And the return is a surprise. It's not the point. It's like you become a different person. You feel differently as a result of doing these things. And that changes your entire experience of living.
Well, I definitely will be reading that book as soon as it's because one of my favorite yeah, one of my favorite quotes too is like, helping others is the way we help ourselves. Because I know for me, like in times when I'm the most stressed or sad in my life, like finding joy in someone else is a great way to find joy when like I can't personally create it for myself in whatever I'm doing, which that just reminded me of when you were talking, because athletics or non-athletics, when you find joy in someone else's success, it just makes your life so much brighter. Because there, in any given week, I might have one day where like everything goes perfect, but if I find joy in everybody else, well, now every day I'm happy. So it makes things a lot better.
I appreciate that perspective.
Yeah.
And if we're throwing out quotes, my favorites from John Adams, it was simply "Be good and do good." I think Josh Allen stole it from him.
Yeah, I love that.
So it's probably Josh Allen's. Maybe John Adams stole it from Josh Allen.
That's so funny.
Hey, Allie, any closing thoughts here?
No, I mean, this has been absolutely amazing, Sam. It's been super fun watching your journey, and I'm really glad my mom started sending our family those videos a while ago, because it got us connected to you and your messages. I think maybe the one question I would have before we hop off is, let's say there's a listener out there and they know their backpack's heavy. They're feeling it. They got a lot of stuff in it. What actionable items could they do to empty their backpack after listening to this? What's something they could go do tomorrow or in the next week or month?
Have a conversation with a professional locally who you can talk about your challenges with or the stuff you carry. I have a lot of people reach out to me. Sadly, I'm not a therapist. I don't have the ability to be a counselor to tens of thousands of people that send me messages. And so I would just always recommend people find a local support. That might be a coach or a parent or a teacher if you have, that support in those people. If it isn't, find a professional who can help and talk about some of the stuff you're carrying. Sometimes when we leave our challenges in our backpacks, they feel really heavy and big. When we put them down on paper or talk about them with others, we can simplify them and find some solutions, or at least control what we can to change how we feel about them. So reach out a hand and ask for help.
Sam, thanks so much. I mean, our podcast, Game of Life 247, is because we think it's specifically softball sports podcast, but the whole point is use it to prepare yourself for all the other hundreds of games you're going to play. And I know you're on board with that, because life's a game, right? And you have to give yourself the tools to perform. If people want to follow you, which I'm sure everybody will, where can they find you? Where can they purchase your books? When's your new book coming out?
So the new book, Return on Goodwill, launches on my birthday, September 11th. They can find it online by just searching Sam Demma Shop, or going on Amazon and searching the title of the book. If people want to connect, just search my name on Google. A lot of different things will pop up. Whatever platform you like to use, we're probably on there posting content. Feel free to follow along, share the videos with people you love. And thank you so much for the support. And both of you for doing the research, reading the books, watching the videos. It means a lot to me, and I can tell how much you prepared for this interview. So thank you. I sincerely appreciate it.
Absolutely. And my wife and Allie's mom wouldn't have had it any other way. So.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you so much, Sam.
All right. Thanks, guys.